Hey everybody, it is Foulk from Jenn Foulk from the book Asylum. I am back with such an amazing guest today. So I need you to tell me what you think about spirits and how, if you could talk to them, what would be the one question you would ask them? Find out. We're gonna talk to a person who is able to confer with the dead, but also has a book on paranormal activity that we're gonna talk about. Stay tuned. Hello, Christopher. This is everybody. This is Christopher J. Brown. I'm gonna call him Chris because that's what I do here. I want to thank you for coming to the Book Asylum podcast because we're gonna start off talking about your book, but we're probably gonna end up branching off into other things. But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Oh yeah, it's just paranormal is my gig. I love it, my jam, and I want to know. So, your book, when did it come out and what is the title and where can we get it? Let's get that out of the way.
All right. So it came out. I wish I knew the exact date, but it came out just a couple of weeks ago. So it's very fresh. It's called I Fucking Knew It. And
Love it.
You can get it on paperback, hardcover, or Kindle on Amazon right now.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
And what drove you to write a book? I fucking knew it. First of all, I love the title. That's,
No,
I
thank
mean,
you.
because that's what we're all saying whenever we experience paranormal activity and stuff. I fucking knew it. I fucking
Right.
knew it. There was something going on.
Yeah.
So, what drove you to write this book?
So kind of a similar thing, like being a medium kind of like helped as well. But like there'd be so many times where I wouldn't listen to my intuition, and I'd be like, I should have gone down road A when I went down road B, and then I'd be like, I fucking knew I shouldn't have done that. Like, God damn it, and then like so it just started to roll over, and so I kept saying it all the time, like, God, I fucking knew it. Like I fucking knew I shouldn't have done that. Or I should have done that, and I did it, and I'm like, I fucking knew it. Like, yeah, I did it. All excited about it.
It's a whole book of I fucking knew it.
Yeah, that's all it says is I fucking knew it through the whole thing. But that's how I got the name, and it seemed to fit well with the psychic mediumship stuff, and it was too good to not call it that. I kicked around a couple of ideas, like some other options. I was going to call it 21 grams. Originally, because that's the measurable amount of a soul, or at least that's what somebody had tried to distinguish. They found a person who was close to being deceased, and once they transitioned, they found they lost 21 grams worth of like material.
Mass.
Mass. They don't know what it was, but they're assuming that was the weight of the soul.
So, that is so cool.
So maybe in a future book I'll call it 21 grams, but that's originally the name of it. But I fucking knew it just popped out, and I had to go with it.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. So is this a compilation of kind of things that you came across, or what is this book about other than I fucking knew it moments?
Right. So it's a little autobiographical. It's a little bit of like how I got into all of this stuff. There's paranormal experiences as well, different places that I had gone to and different things that I've experienced. So it's kind of like all of my journey. It's a little... I wrote it about 5 years ago, so it's been a while since I've actually done anything with it. So some of the things will say, like, I've been a medium for 4 years, where now it's been 8, or like this happened 2 years ago, where now it's been 4 years ago. You know what I mean? So and there's a few things like that, but it's just generally my journey through all of the paranormal and becoming a medium, and there's a channeled text part of it that I just kind of channeled. Let spirit kind of speak whatever they wanted to say. And then there's a few inspirational kind of stories in there as well that I had written.
That is awesome.
Thank you.
I really like the channeling text part. I'm definitely, I haven't gotten to that yet in your book. I'm very excited to read about that though.
Cool.
I cannot wait. And as soon as I do a review, I will leave a review. I'm a reviewer. Anybody who reads a book should be a reviewer, because that's how we help indie authors and stuff like that. So let's talk about you.
Okay.
So how long have you had this ability, and when did you realize it was a mediumship?
I was actually, so our mutual friend, Adam, right? I was with
Yes.
him at a place, and I just went to the attic of this place, and I was starting to pick up stuff, and I don't know. I honestly thought it was my imagination. I was like, this can't be
Mhm.
real. I'm just like, because what I felt was a younger boy spirit, and he was playing kind of like hide and seek. And
Mhm.
I was like, that's interesting. I was like, but there's no way to confirm that. There's no way to validate it. So it must
Right.
be my imagination, right? So I went home and I YouTubed a place, or the same place, and there was a medium on the team, on the paranormal team, that went there, and she went to the same place that I was standing, and she goes, "There's a young boy spirit here," and I was like, "Oh,
Validation.
yeah," and I was like, "Really?" And she goes, "And he's playing games with me," and I was like, like my jaw dropped
Double
to the floor. Like,
validation.
yeah,
Yes.
and I got that validation. I was like, well, what does this all mean? Like, how does that pertain to me? And like, I always felt that I knew when ghosts were around. I'd say things like
Mhm.
that, or I could feel energy, but I didn't have words for it.
Right.
So I dove into like, what does it mean to feel and see spirit? And it led me to being a medium. And then like, it sounds weird, but there was like YouTube videos of like 10 ways to know you're a medium, and like all the boxes I was checking off, and I was like, I have to do something with this. I just felt compelled, like something in me was pulling me so hard that I couldn't say no to it.
Mhm.
And I just started doing it. I started doing the work, and I started getting into readings, and I have not looked back since.
Now, do you just do regular spirit readings, or do you use like a tool like tarot or the pendulum or anything like that?
So nope, we just have a conversation. I sit,
Nice.
and, yeah, we sit and we talk. And usually, I mean, I'm not usually, but I'll let spirit just kind of flow through me.
Mhm.
Sometimes I don't even remember the reading. It'll be like
Yeah.
a half an hour later or an hour later, and I'm like, okay, now I'm
What
back.
did we talk about?
Yeah, what were we talking about exactly? Yeah. So it's kind
So,
of funny that way.
how do you excuse me. Sorry about that.
That's all
How
good.
do you how did you learn to open yourself up? Because I know a lot of people, there's a lot of conjecture and a lot of different theologies where everybody has some kind of mediumship or psychic abilities, and it's just how open you are, and all you got to do is open your third eye and blah blah blah. Is that something that's always been open for you? Is that something that you had to work on? How did you work on that? Kind of give us some insight, because I know for me personally, I I know that I have some abilities. I'm having a problem unlocking them.
Yeah. And I think just using words like that, like using words like, oh, it's locked up. I can't get it. I can't access it. I can't attain it. You
Mhm.
absolutely can. And it's just a matter of being like, okay, those factors, those variables are not on the table. I truly believe it's our God-given right, all of
Mhm.
us, to be able to do this. You know what I mean? We are
Right.
connected to spirit. They are connected to us. So why wouldn't we be able to interact with them? You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So I don't know if that helps answer your question as far as like unlocking it or whatever, but like, it's truly just like, it is trusting yourself too. 100% of this is
Yeah.
just trusting yeah, yeah. So like, and we don't trust ourselves, and
No.
that's why the I fucking do it came up, because I never trusted myself. Like,
Yep.
so trusting the information that you're getting validation of the information that you're getting will absolutely help you open up a little bit better, because you're like, oh, I did do that. Like I did predict this, or I thought about this and it came true,
You get more
or
confidence.
right, or like a friend of mine's father, let's say, passes, and I know he's with her,
Mhm.
like something to that effect. Anything
Yeah.
that can validate for you what you're feeling and what you're picking up, that can help you open up. But meditations are always great, just to kind of empty your mind a little bit and get you into or out of your analytical mind.
Yeah.
Because if you start analyzing things and you start really kind of like picking things apart, you can miss it, or you can
Yes.
misinterpret it for sure. And even when you're in it, you can misinterpret it. I mean, I remember I was doing a reading where I kept seeing Garfield, or,
Mhm.
Garfield the cat.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I kept seeing him, and I was like, what's with Garfield? I was like, I keep seeing this orange cat, and it looks like Garfield. And the woman was like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, yeah, the cat that ate lasagna. And she's like, well, lasagna was my mother's favorite food.
Oh,
Like,
so there was a correlation. It was
so
just
yeah, you just have to. Sometimes it's like it was her mother being like, yeah, Garfield, the one that ate lasagna, that's my favorite food too. It's just in my mind, all I saw was Garfield, and I couldn't figure it out.
that's funny, because I had a friend, God rest her soul, Mary. She was also a medium,
Nice.
and she would tell me, there was one day we were in my basement, and she's like, "Jen, I gotta tell you something." I'm like, "Okay." And I'm like, well, how bad is it? I mean, am I going to
Yeah.
die?
Yeah.
And this was before I even knew she had any kind of extra gifts or anything.
Mhm.
And she was, hold on. My throat has been bothering me. We've had this nasty little thing going around the office
Oh
for
yeah.
weeks. But
Good to
pardon
hear.
me, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
But she told me, she goes, I keep seeing this pack of big red gum.
Hmm.
Every time I'm around you, I see it. And I said, it's probably in correlation to my grandfather.
Ah,
And she goes, what do you mean? I said they used to call him Big Red in the
that's
military.
that's
I
awesome.
said I said, "So that's probably him." And she's like, "Yeah, he's definitely been pushing it the last few times I've seen you." And I'm like, "Well, that's cool to know. He was my hero." So
That's awesome. That's
it
great.
was really awesome. It was such, and it's, I think, for people who are like you, who are like, I keep seeing this weird, I don't know why this is popping up. It could be a broccoli. I don't know.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, oh yeah, my uncle used to, he was my favorite uncle. He passed away. He used to eat broccoli and cheese all the time.
Yep.
And it's like, that's the correlation. It's, and you're sitting there, you're like, no, I'm crazy. I
Yeah.
see broccoli,
Yeah. Why am I
and you
seeing
get that
broccoli?
exactly. You get that validation. You're like, I see broccoli every time I look at you. Why?
Yeah.
But
What's the
getting
deal with
that,
this?
yeah, getting that validation is just really awesome. And I think that a lot of people need to lean on their own, their your gut feeling, your gut
Yeah,
instinct. It's super important.
absolutely.
You can't dismiss it because it tells you, it warns you. It's a great warning system. Don't go in that house
Yeah,
or don't walk down that street. It's a
right.
great warning system, and I think we dismiss it all too often.
I think you're right.
And
Like,
I'm one of those where I'm just like, how can I, because it seems like for you it was very easy for you to just open up. Have you
um,
always been pretty open about the paranormal?
yeah, I mean, I grew up in a haunted house, so it was
Oh,
never
well, that'll
something.
do it.
Yeah, yeah, and it did. It really did. That house did a number on me. I mean, I call it cliche haunted. And I mean, some of the stories I tell, and people are like, okay, you've been watching too many movies, pal. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, like, this stuff happened.
Really happened.
It
Yeah.
really did. Like, I experienced a lot of, and like friends of mine would come over and they'd be like, dude, I don't know what the fuck is going on with your house, but like, not cool, man. Not cool. Like, there's people standing over like my niece's crib, and it would just be
Yeah.
me at home, like babysitting her. And I'm
Yep.
like, I run downstairs, be like, who's there? And nothing. There'd be murmuring voices. Like, you'd think the TV was on in the
Yeah.
living room, and you'd go downstairs and there'd be nothing on, and you're like,
Can't tell you
what
how
the
many
hell?
times I've woken up to weird music playing.
Yeah.
It happened to me one night. My husband and I were laying in bed. I thought he had his phone on and was watching something because I like rolled over and looked at him like, turn this shit off. And he's out. He's sleeping. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had this one house that was super haunted too. And I think everybody, especially on the East Coast,
Yep.
people on the East Coast, you guys have a history that us out West do not have.
Hmm.
And the East Coast, I would believe every single house is haunted out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was, the house was very unassuming too. It was a duplex in Portland, Maine, and it just
Yeah.
like on the outside doesn't look very spooky or haunted at all. And then you go in and like, you're like, oh man, like there's just a vibe. And I still have reoccurring dreams about that house. It's the weirdest thing. Like, I'll just be like, just the other night I had one. I was doing a gallery reading
How old
inside.
were you when you were there?
Geez, I was probably, let me think. I was about 14 to 18, I think, when I was there.
Oh, okay.
So it was a
Very
4-year
impressionable time.
Yes, very impressionable time. Very, and I remember my friends and I doing like mock little ghost hunts, and we didn't even know what we were doing. Like, that was before Ghost Hunters was on. That was before the paranormal
Yeah.
shows were really big. And so we put a recorder out on the second floor because that was where the most activity was.
Mhm.
And I remember we woke up the next morning and we were listening back, and you hear somebody walking up the stairs. They turn the bathroom's faucet on, turn it off, and then walk back downstairs. And I'm like, whoa, like there's no one else home. It's just us. Like, it was freaky. But yeah, so that house is wild and like very unassuming at the best. And I wonder, like I drive by there often. And I wonder, I want to knock on their door so bad and just say, hey, look, this was my experience when I was a kid. Is there any way I could come in and just walk around? But
yeah, now knowing what you know.
Right. But now I don't want to open up anything if it's laid dormant this whole time.
Right.
Make their lives a living hell is like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't want to do that to them. So I've refrained, but I'm very tempted. And maybe whatever was there is like calling me back to some degree, just being like, yeah, let's
party.
Yeah, let's party. Let's go. Bring the PBRs, right?
Yeah, you were too young back then, but now you're an adult.
It was just like a college ghost that was just like, dude, let's go, bro.
Did you ever find out like the history on that land and house and stuff?
So there was a neighbor that lived next to us who had passed. He had an Agent Orange from when he was in Vietnam.
Yikes.
Yeah, he was. And ironically enough, a lot of the things that happened in that house were kind of negative. So he didn't like children either. We were at the perfect age for him to be like, you goddamn meddling kids,
Get out of my house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get out. And it worked.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, that's great. And my brother actually moved out at one point. Like there was he had an experience.
That creepy.
Oh yeah. He had an experience in his room where somebody said hello to him behind his ear. And just hello, like kind of something like that.
Whoa.
And we lived across. I know we lived across the hall from each other. And I remember he came barreling through my room, like he wasn't even dressed. He was just like he just launched himself through my room. And he's like, "There's a ghost in my room. There's a ghost in my room. There's a ghost in my room." I kept saying it over and over again. And I finally calmed him down, and he told me what happened. He thought that it was me behind him saying "hey" or "hello" or whatever. And then he turned around and nothing was there. And then he his bed was at an angle because he was rearranging his room. So he thought maybe I was hiding under the bed. He goes to move it and it says it again. And then he just lost it.
He's like, no, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm done. That's it. We're over. So, and needless to say, 2 weeks later, he moved out. So it affected him quite a bit.
So is it safe to say that this is kind of what started your whole paranormal journey, investigating and everything like that?
I would have to say so. Yeah.
Safe to say.
Yes, safe to say. Yeah. Because that I've always been chasing that feeling. And I think most of us who have a paranormal experience, especially early on in life, are always chasing that dragon.
Still chasing it to this day.
Yep.
The only reason I'm not doing it out here is because I don't know anybody. But it's like I'm too busy. I work too much, and I write and do 8 million different things. I also narrate my own books and a couple other people's. So I'm a little busy. I can't. Yeah. I got to cut something out. Right. But it's so interesting when people you see, people who have had paranormal experiences, there's either one of two ways you're going to react. It's either a hell no, I'm hiding away from it, or a hell yes, let's go look for it again. Yeah. And I'm one of those that I run to it. And I guess when did you start getting into the paranormal where it was like something that you did regularly?
Yep. So again, I joined this team. Actually, Adam introduced me to. He was on a team, and he introduced me to the people in the team. And so I started getting into them that way. They would do events and they would do private stuff as well. And so that was when I really got my foot in the door. And I have to thank him for allowing me to do that. You know what I mean? He kind of brought me.
Oh yeah, Adam is amazing. For those of you who don't know, Adam is the owner of the historically haunted. A vlogcast.
And Booking LLC. Yep.
Yes. And historically haunted Booking LLC. This man is awesome. If you're looking for a promoter or anybody who you need to manage and help you out, he actually does both of our stuff.
Yep.
So he's really awesome. If you have any questions, either hit myself or Christopher up. We'll get you hooked up with Adam if you're looking for somebody to promote. But yeah, definitely, he's a cool dude. He is a really cool dude. I really appreciate him. How long have you known him?
Oh, geez, I've known him now. Let's see, it's 2025 now, so about almost 10 years.
Oh wow, okay, all right.
We used to play in bands together. So his band would play with my band, and we'd shred on stage, and we'd just have a blast. And
that's hilarious. I love it. I love it.
The band was what what introduced me to him, but
Right.
he heard that I was into the paranormal, and I heard that he was, and I was like, dude, like I got to tell you what I went through as a kid, and like I got to get into this world, and so he brought me under his wing, and he kind of helped me out, and I am very grateful. So Adam, if you're listening, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was the reason why I got into like an organized kind of more like ghost hunting,
Okay.
investigating kind of
Yeah.
vibe. But we had joined a team that is disbanded now. But it was an awesome experience. We would go to places in Portland and different other places. And once that kind of branched off, I had already kind of dove into the mediumship stuff. So I just kind of
Right.
ran with that. And I helped different teams in the area with different stuff. And yeah, it's been a ride, man.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you don't do just one, you do a couple of different teams, or?
I'm a part of a team called 207 Paranormal, so that's like my
Okay.
main base. But if another team says like, "Hey, Chris, you know we're going to wherever, we're going to the Conjuring House," let's just say, for example,
Mhm.
then I'll be like, "Yeah, sure, I'll go along and I'll try to do what I can and help you out as best I can." You know, like so
Yeah.
it kind of works like that. I'll work with other teams as well, but the team that I'm on, the team that I'm a part of, is 207 Paranormal.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the Conjuring House debacle?
Oh boy. Woo! It's a debacle. That's for sure. I think that a lot of attention is being paid to it, and I think that that's exactly what the woman wants.
Yeah, I kind of am going back and forth between, you know, mental health issues
For sure.
in her, and then uh, substance abuse issues. You know,
Yeah,
she's just gotten what, like 2 or 3 DUIs in the last couple of months.
yeah. It's been a lot, you know, and she's just kind of declining at a fast pace.
Rapid
I just hope the
rapidly.
building itself is not affected. As far as I hope she doesn't just like, you know, I just hope
Yeah,
that building stays intact. You know,
I'm just really concerned for the paranormal community and what people are going to see after this.
for sure.
You
Yeah,
know, because how are you going to be able, because now all of a sudden, when she first bought the place, she didn't know anything. Now all of a sudden, "Oh, I'm a medium too, and this guy who built this place back in the
right,
1800s told me," and I'm
right.
just like, "Wait, what?
Yeah.
Now you're a medium?" You know, and I just I have a hard time. That's where I think maybe her mental health started to decline. I mean, is it the house causing her mental health to decline?
Well, and that's the thing.
Or is
Like,
it her own volition?
it could be a little mix of both. I mean,
Mhm.
it's hard to tell. I mean, I've been there 3 times, and that house is definitely haunted.
Yeah.
There is stuff there for
I've
sure.
never been, I've always wanted to.
I got pushed down the stairs there, believe it or not.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was going live. I was going live on Facebook, and I had my phone in my hand. And I'm like, "Oh, hey, how's it going, guys?" Boom, and I'm just like down every friggin' stair, and I was like, "Oh God, my back."
Rude?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Rude?
guys, like I'm just standing here. What the hell?
I'm just asking questions.
I know. Yeah, I'm just a simple investigator. No need to be violent. Just settle down.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, because I guess, you know, a lot of people have had a lot of different situations in their life where they can't explain, and they either knock it off as something that, you know, they just completely forget it and bypass it and don't even worry about it, or they analyze it and then they're like, "Oh yeah, well, this had happened and this had happened." I
Right.
believe that it's good to go through and be like, "Okay, what outside factors could have caused this?" But if
100%.
you can't find any, the only thing left, the only logical thing left is the paranormal and the
Yep.
spiritual.
Yep. I agree
So,
with you. I think debunking first is crucial
mhm,
with anything, even within mediumship, within paranormal stuff.
yeah,
Finding the logical explanation as opposed to the paranormal is so important. But
mhm.
there is paranormal explanations for this stuff too, which is really
Yes,
cool. You know.
exactly. We
Yeah.
can't dismiss. There really is a spirit world out there. We
Yeah.
can't dismiss it. And a
No.
lot of people, that's kind of one thing that drives me crazy with, you know, my belief system and stuff like that. A lot of people are like, "Oh, well, of course you think you know. You can't prove it." And it's like, that's why I don't get too much into this, because, you know, it's like
Yeah.
I don't want the naysayers, because it's not that I don't have thick skin. I was a corrections officer for years. I
Oh,
have
wow.
thick skin.
That'll do it.
So, so
That'll do
but,
it.
like, yes, and let me tell you, jails are haunted. I don't care what nobody says. Those
Yeah,
are bad places.
I bet they are, yeah, especially at night when you're walking down the halls
Yep.
alone.
Yeah. Third shift is great time to see some stuff.
Oof.
But well, not only that, you have all these personalities and all these,
Mhm.
auras and their feelings, and everybody's in a bad mood and in a bad place, including the COs, because we don't want to be there either. You know,
For sure.
it sucks all the way around.
Yeah,
But
everybody's
but
miserable.
you've got all that negativity in there, which is probably like a foghorn to the spirit world. It's like, hey, come here, eat dinner for free.
Yeah,
But
really.
it's just it's one of those places. But it kind of makes you think, what is it that why don't I don't know if you've ever even bothered to ask any of them this, but why don't you just come out and why don't you just show people? Show the proof. Why don't the spirits just be like, hey, start pushing stuff off in front of especially the skeptics? I mean,
Yeah.
how much does it take that much energy? What goes into that? I don't know.
That is a fantastic question, and I don't know if I necessarily know the answer, but what I found through like doing readings and things
Mhm.
is that they kind of it takes like an enormous amount of energy to do that. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And so I don't know if they're able to most of the time. And then the other part of it is like maybe we're not meant to know for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one of those questions in life that we're just not meant to know, and that we'll find out on the other side. I really don't know. I mean, that's such a
That's
great question. I'm not going to sit here and try to bullshit an answer, but it's one of those things that's great to ponder and wonder about. Like, why don't they just like if you're wondering if they're with you, why don't they just throw a dish across the room, or
right.
why
Right.
don't they just like just materialize in front of you? I mean, I
I
don't know.
mean, I'm on camera right now. Just lift my hair, something,
Yeah,
I don't, why all but that actually, I can say that for any religion, to be honest,
for sure.
if your God is so good and so benevolent or whatever, why doesn't he just say, hey, I understand there's something to faith and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's just one of those questions that I've always had. Well, why don't they just either show up or fix it? But I mean,
Yeah.
energy, I understand energy because
Yep.
everything takes energy. And
Yeah.
learning and understanding how energy works, it doesn't I mean, it's there, but it doesn't just happen. It takes a certain process in
Yes.
order for energy to be used. So, I get that, and it's it's also like I don't know, do they have things wasn't it the Jacob's ladder that produces energy that's supposed to help,
Hmm.
like, get spirits out there? It's, like, supposed to be like, "Hey, we've got energy, use this energy
Yeah,
to,"
right.
because I know that's why our batteries go dead when we're doing an
Yep.
investigation.
Yeah, because they're absorbing that. And it's funny you mentioned that. There's a gentleman named Paul Wolf who's on 207 Paranormal, and he uses a
Mhm.
taser sometimes to get spirits to get more active in a room.
Same damn thing, yeah.
It's brilliant. He did it first, and I
Yeah,
was like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" He's like, "Think about it, dude." He's like, "I'm just charging the room," and I was like, "That's
thousands of volts right
brilliant.
there.
Yep, it's brilliant."
It
So I
is.
was like, "Damn!" I was like, "That's cool." And it usually
Smart.
ramped up. And usually the it ramped up the activity, and there was responses to yes or no questions, and
Yeah,
so it's almost like they're like, yeah, like a little bit of
I got the juice.
pressure. Yeah, I got the juice. Yeah, let's do this. Which is cool.
And that's something that I've wondered, I never knew if anybody has ever, um, raised that question
Yeah,
with anybody in the afterlife, why is it that you guys are so
yeah. So
secretive?
mysterious. Yeah, I wonder
Yeah,
if it's a case of free will too. I mean, I don't think that our free will can be tampered with. I think that's like kind of like our thing as human beings. Like we have that, we are able to use it. And so,
yeah,
like, if you went up to a skeptic and just blew their ever loving mind, it might affect their free will and how they navigate their life a little bit.
okay,
You know,
okay, I understand that, because for the same reason you don't do love spells. Don't take
exactly.
away somebody's free will.
Exactly. And I
Yeah,
think that might be what the spirit, because like there's laws to the universe, that I've read.
yeah, yes, there
And
yes, there
if
are.
you got to abide by them. And I think
You
spirit
do.
might have to abide by that one law of the universe to be like, okay, you can show yourself to people, but like don't really fuck with them, just like
Right.
just enough for them to be like, okay, I know you're there. I saw
Don't
you,
yeah, don't
you know.
mentally fuck them up and
Yeah.
send them into the
No. But then
the
again,
loony bin.
there are people that get mentally fucked up by it. You know what I mean? They have paranormal experiences and it rocks their world. You know what I mean? So there's that too. So I don't know. That's my best wager.
Do you feel that, because like I know they say children or some of the more mentally challenged people who act like children, who can't, their mental capacity doesn't really go above that,
Mhm.
are more susceptible to seeing and having dealings with the afterlife and the paranormal. Do you think that that works for Do you think that that's how it works? Because they're, like, less guarded? Why do you think that works that way?
I think it works that way because, like you said, they're less guarded, right?
Mhm,
They've had less time for people to really instill in their brains that, like, no, the spirit world's not real.
mhm.
Afterlife doesn't exist the way you think it does, or like it's only by these parameters that you're allowed to communicate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
But they don't. They still have that imagination. They still have that, like, that vibrant, like, they see the world very differently. You know, a child's
yeah,
psychology is a lot different than an adult's, right?
yes,
So I think that they still have that sense of wonder and that sense of, like, um, it's almost like when a little girl is fantasizing about, like, butterflies and fairies, right? She,
yeah,
she really sees those things. You know, she
yes.
really believes that there's butterflies and fairies and that there's unicorn farts and all this other stuff.
Oh, yeah,
You know, but
they're real. I'm 47, I still believe they're
beautiful. So you know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
So it's like you can't take that away from them. You know what I mean? And they truly believe that. But over time and through, like, the hardness of life, they start to lose that imaginative feeling, and they start to lose that kind of, like, oh, maybe there's more to this than meets the eye. It's because it's very much like, oh, what's in front of me, what's tangible, what can I touch, taste, and
Right,
feel. You know,
right.
so, and the spirit world is very intangible in that sense. Like,
Very
we
much.
use our sixth sense, but all the other five senses, touch, taste, smell, etc., hearing, seeing,
Mhm.
those we have a harder time with the spirit world with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a different frequency.
Absolutely. And I think our sixth sense, is just our five senses in our mind.
Yes, and I really believe that, I mean, because if with the development of quantum physics and stuff like that, things coming
Mhm.
to light that particles can be 2 in the same place. You can
Yeah.
have the same
Right.
particle in the same place. It's possible.
Yep.
It's also possible that you excite one particle, that particle is also going to excite, and it's instantaneous transfer of information to another particle regardless of distance.
Exactly.
So, I'm I feel really smart right now because I'm studying this for for a book.
That's awesome.
But I'm like, this it applies because I
Yeah.
think with the more that we get into quantum mechanics and physics and stuff like that, I really believe that the more we're about to prove that there is a spirit world.
Yeah. It's just like we just haven't had the tool to measure the frequency
Yeah,
yet. It's
yeah,
like 100 years ago, electric cars were a thing of, like, H.G. Wells and things like that. And
right.
now there's electric cars all over the place. So it's like another 100 years from now, who knows? Those guys could be living in a world where the spirit world and the living are intertwined no matter what. And they're just like, oh, we just didn't know how to measure it.
Yeah, and we didn't
Through
know how to
quantum
get
physics and
to it.
quantum mechanics and things. Yeah, we didn't know how to get to it exactly.
Yeah,
And
they
maybe,
they
like,
had no clue.
all these mediums that have been, like, struggling to prove that the spirit world is real will be justified
Right,
and validated, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Just have
yeah, I think it's a very important, I wish I was smart enough to actually study it for real, like, get into class and study it, but I think it's a very important, trajectory that we're going to, kinda prove that all these people who, even back to when they used to use tarot as parlor games
Mhm.
and entertainment at ritzy parties, it's gonna start proving that, oh, these people were actually onto something before anybody else was.
Yep, they were ahead of the game. They were ahead of the curve. Yep,
Yeah.
I agree.
So, have you caught anything, like, really undeniable evidence on camera, or how's the EVP game for you? I guess I wanna know about your paranormal experiences.
Yeah, so I've seen and I've experienced a lot of paranormal stuff, obviously, but the one thing I captured was on this boat called the USS Salem, and I caught a shadow figure, and I could try to pull it up and show. I don't know how it would translate, but there's a video, and I can send it to you actually, so you can see it.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I'll send it to you through Facebook Messenger. But
Okay.
there's a video of somebody, and he's literally, I'm walking down a hall. I see it kind of dart across in my vision, and in the video, I'm like, oh man, I just saw a shadow figure. And then I look down this hallway, and all of a sudden you see, so like I'm gonna go off camera for a second, but you see him go, and then he darts back.
Dude peeks around the corner.
Yeah, a dude peeks around the corner, and it's a shadow figure, and I'm like, oh my god! And like when I was there in person, I didn't see it. I was just showing a friend of mine. I was like, oh, I think I caught a shadow figure because like it darts by, and she's looking at the video, and she's like, well, who's at the end of the hallway, peeking their head around the corner? And I'm like, there should be nobody.
Nobody.
And I was like, there's nobody.
That might be our guy.
Yeah, that could be the dude. And I actually found out, and it validated for me. But the caretaker, he was one of the caretakers. He had said that the guy there that they call the creeper, and he creeps around corners. And I caught him. I was like, oh my god! And so that's the one piece of evidence I actually caught, and like is real tangible, and I love it. So
I just hope in the afterlife, if I do come back and haunt people, that they don't give me a name like the creeper.
I know, right? Yeah, like come on,
don't come up with something good.
Yeah, he was probably speaking around the corner, going, "Was it you? Did you give me that name?" Yeah.
Who did this?
Yeah. Spill the beans, dude. I want to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, what a name. Yeah, we got to do better.
Yeah, we give him a little bit more credit, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, because it takes a lot of energy for them to peek around that corner. You could at least, give them some big balls Bob or something.
I know, right? Make him feel good about himself, right?
Leaning Lenny's fine, you don't
Yeah.
need to call him the creeper.
Yeah,
That just makes him sound bad. But so like you've had a couple of instances where you've caught it. It's undeniable. There's no way that you can, and it's funny because people will still come up. Some skeptics will still be like, no, there's somebody down at the end of the hallway. And you're like, no, I swear to God, it was literally me and her in this area alone.
Right.
But
and I tell people, I've shown a bunch of people in the paranormal community, I'm like, please tell me that like this is not what I think it is. Like just debunk it. I just like, and I want to know for sure, like if you can. And they're like, I don't know, man. Like that's pretty compelling. And like I said, I showed the guy who was the caretaker for the ship, and he was like, that's I can't explain that.
The creeper.
It's the creeper. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So I guess I have to ask you, because you're in because you're also a medium, but you're also in the paranormal investigation department.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about demons and angels?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if I don't know. I'm inclined to believe that there is entities out there that we can't explain, for sure. Mm-hmm. And I'm inclined to believe that there is just like a battery, there's positive and negative parts of that energy field.
Absolutely. You got to have balance. It's the universe.
Exactly. You got to balance the universe. I think that angels are a very high vibrational being that has not been incarnate. So they don't know what it's like to experience a human form, right?
Right.
So I do think that angels exist. I think demons are the same thing. I think that demons are a lot rarer than people think, especially in paranormal investigations. I don't think
that was my next question.
Yeah, I don't think that everything's a demon. It's not like something bad or something falls off a thing.
There's a portal, and the demons are crawling through, and I'm just like, bro.
No, it's not like the movies, And I think a demon is just a dark leveled energy that feeds off of that dark energy. Like, if you're nervous and you're scared, they're going to be like, yeah, good.
Yeah.
But if you say like, oh man, like, hey, Mr. Demon, I love you so much. Thanks for being in this space. They're going to be like, like, get away from me. Like, I don't like it. And vice versa.
Hissing at you and all.
Yeah, exactly. Hissing at you, recoiling in fear. Like, no, get your love away from me, you freak.
Don't tell me the L word.
Yeah. That's offensive to us, and I think angels are the same thing. They're high vibrational beings that want to do good for the human race and the people that are here. However that manifests for people, I think is their own individual choice. If they want to associate it with God, then they absolutely can, and they are justified. And that is exactly where they will be in that time. If they want to associate it with just higher vibrational beings, that's okay too. It's very individual basis.
Yeah, I think that, they just get called angels because we don't know what else to call them.
Well, and the biblical angels are terrifying. You've ever seen a
Yes.
they're like there's multiple eyes and
Yeah.
like things.
There's like no real face. They got like 12 wings and like there's eyes all over them, all over them.
That's right.
They are definitely all seeing because they're everywhere.
Yeah,
Their
yeah,
eyes are everywhere. And
exactly.
I'm like, yeah, if you saw a real angel, you'd shit yourself.
You would, yeah. You would absolutely
This is stuff out of horror movies.
yeah, like, how are you here to be good and help me? Like, what the flying fuck?
Exactly.
I hope
Wait a
it's
minute,
okay
you're
that I
telling
stand
me
up
that somebody made you this way on purpose?
here. Yeah, yeah. Who would do such a thing?
That's rude.
Yeah, yeah, that's rude. Yeah. It's like calling the guy the creeper, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Rude stuff.
Exactly. So I mean, I believe that there's, the entities that they're just they've never been, like you said, they've never been human. They're
Yes.
incarnate. They've never walked in our footsteps. They
Right.
mimic. I believe they mimic. I believe
Yep.
there's certain factions that mimic, but I do believe that there are good and bad entities out there that have not ever been a human form.
That's
So
a beautiful way to put it. And I agree.
that was what I was kind of trying to get at before I got stupid and couldn't think. But it was that was something that I had, because you see all these, like, Zach Bagans really screwed everything up for everybody.
Yeah.
Whoever wanted to be, we had our chance to be looked at as normal and professional, and Zach screwed it all up
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
And I think he started out with good intentions, and then I don't know if he
Probably the
screwed the
money, the
pooch.
ratings.
Yeah,
Screwed
screwed
the
the
pooch. Yeah.
pooch
They're like,
and
hey, if
all
you
of
like
it,
the
because
jackass, then you
yeah,
can get
he
more money.
literally was like, if I see another shirt with a cross on it and bedazzled pants, I'm gonna fucking puke. But
You gotta get the UFC ones that just say tap out, you know?
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Where do you have that tattooed on your body? Because I know you do. I know you do, Zach.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you, Zach. You got that somewhere.
You
Yeah.
don't need to wear it on your shirt, too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A little redundant, Zach.
Yeah. Tell me you're old without telling me you're old.
Yeah. Oh man. In my
But
case, it's the grays that do it. So
thankfully, luckily, I haven't had the pleasure of having a gray yet. Thank God.
Well, there you
But
go. There you go.
very fortunate. Not
Yeah,
bragging.
yeah.
Very fortunate.
No,
But
brag away. That's a good thing to. That's a good thing to have. I wish I could say
but
this.
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, it seems like and coming with age, especially for, I assume you're a Gen Xer.
I'm just about. I'm actually a millennial, but I'm
Oh,
right on
so
the
you're
cusp.
like an 81, 82.
84. So yeah.
Okay. All
Yep.
right. Yep. My husband's 82.
Yep.
So he's still, but they're still like kind of, you're still kind of within that
Gen X.
will take you
Yeah.
range.
It's
Because
so funny. A friend of mine, he's a Gen Xer, and he goes, "You're an honorary Gen Xer because you don't have
yeah,
the millennial attitude."
exactly. There's that, and because you were pretty much raised the same way as we were.
Yeah,
My
I was
husband the
outside until
same
the lights
way.
came on. There was no internet. There was no cell phones. I
Yes.
remember all that.
Yeah, my husband was the same. He was feral. He was feral.
Yeah, that's all.
He was more feral than I was, so he's probably more of a Gen Xer than I was.
That's great.
But there's a few years after the 80s where, yes, we accept you. But
Yeah.
so we, with age, I think that we have, just kind of, we're more open to a lot of different things. I don't think that, yeah, we're the fuck around and find out generation, but we're also the, oh no, you should find out about this
Yeah,
because we might be sleeping on something that we're not aware of.
yeah, more
Things could,
investigative.
yes. And I think because there's more of us that are doing this stuff and
Mhm.
we're into more of this stuff than, let's say, our boomer parents.
Exactly. Yeah, because they're going to be like, "No, that's wrong. That's not real." And
Yeah.
my mom doesn't believe in any of this stuff. So
Go to church.
go to church. Yeah, yeah. God will help you.
We need to go to church Sunday. That's what my mom would say.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was, she was, of course, they were the ones that went through the great satanic panic
Oh
back
yeah,
in the
yeah,
80s.
for sure. Yeah, with Kiss and all that.
Everything was a doorway to hell.
Yeah.
Everything, even Cabbage Patch Kids. I wasn't even allowed to have a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Oh man. Wow. It's
Well,
funny.
that
I
leads
was
me to a good question.
okay.
You
Go ahead.
talk first.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was raised Catholic, so I get it. I'm recovering now, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I feel that. I escaped the cult as well.
Yes.
we,
Yeah, it's a good
we
thing.
it brought up a question in my head where, like back in the 80s, I remember specifically my mom talking about I believe it was Jimmy Swaggart, if you remember who he is.
I remember the name. Yes.
The televangelist, he was on TV every
Yeah.
Sunday, and he had that big stage and
Yes.
huge audiences.
Oh
And
man. Yeah.
yeah, so good old Jimmy one day
Cool.
was giving a story, was talking about a time he exorcised the demons from a child because they had a Cabbage Patch doll.
Oh,
Which then I started thinking about the Annabelle doll, which
yeah.
was a Raggedy Ann.
Yeah.
But
Popular at the time.
yes, exactly. It was popular at the time. So, is there do you foresee? I can't believe I'm going to say this. Do you foresee a Bratz doll possession in the near future?
Oh man, that's great. I mean, so I think the question is like, can object or can spirits
Yes.
be in objects,
Yeah,
right?
I'm glad you can see through the bullshit. But yes.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. That's so funny. That'd be great if it was that doll, though. You
Oh my
know,
God, it would be. It would be
all of a
epic.
sudden, like
I
all
would
the
be like,
Chucky
I
kind of
knew
style.
it.
Yeah, I fucking knew this was gonna happen.
Fucking knew it.
Have like Chucky dolls running around, like just killing people and causing hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that. So have you read Harry Potter?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you know how Voldemort, he has Horcruxes, right? That
Yes.
he puts a piece of himself into different objects. I think that's
Yes.
what's going on when it comes to haunted objects. I don't
Okay.
think that the whole person is in the object. I think that a piece of them is so attached to it that they're like, no, this is a part of me as well. So I'm going to stay attached to it, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think
Yeah, it
that's
does.
why objects are haunted, is because somebody has such an emotional and spiritual attachment to it that it's basically a still physical piece of them,
I
whereas their
love it.
spiritual body has moved on.
Okay. I get it. So it's not like an actual it's not that let's say it's the Raggedy Ann doll. It's
Sure.
not like there actually is a piece of hair from that person stuck on there. It's more like there's a connection
Yeah.
with that particular
Yep.
doll or haunted object.
Exactly. And it's like it's also called psychometry as well. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
But explain it, please.
Sure. So psychometry is like holding an object of somebody that had passed and being able to pick up on information because of their energy that's still in the object.
Okay.
And I think that's exactly kind of what's going on. Is it's a form of psychometry with like the Annabelle doll. Whatever tied itself to that wasn't particularly happy. So it probably was a negative person when it was here or when they were here. So they probably had, maybe they had struggled with mental illness. Maybe they were just angry. Who knows? But a piece of them is still attached to that object because they had a spiritual or a very, very strong emotional connection to it.
Okay. So you don't think that just random incarnate energies can attach themselves to objects like that?
I don't believe so. I think there has to be a connection to it. There's got to be some reason for it. I don't think they're just going to be like, I like this antique chair. I'm going to go ahead and haunt
the spoon looks good.
The spoon looks
See what we can.
Spoon, like
everybody needs a spoon.
Everybody. Don't forget to bring a towel.
Yeah.
The towel. You never know.
Forget my brother the towel.
Yeah. Like, you'd be like,
I love that. We sit here and we joke about stuff like this, but it's like it really happens.
It does really happen, and it's like it's going to be one of those things where I'm going to get off this podcast, and all of a sudden something's going to come like creepy. I'm going to be like, God damn it! Yeah, what did I do? I opened up the world to it. Now I'm screwed.
I shouldn't have said that shit.
Yeah, fucking A.
So, do you, when you're like randomly talking to people, does sometimes their loved ones come in like tap you on the shoulder, like, hey, I got a message?
Yeah, sometimes they do. Sometimes they really do. Like there was a friend of mine that happened to, and their loved one had passed, and it was relentless. They were just constantly telling me this one thing to tell them, and I was like, hey, can I tell you something? I was like, I don't usually do this. Like I say, I don't. I don't like to bombard people like that unless I get permission.
Right.
So I say like, hey, there's something I got to tell you. Can you please, be open to it or whatever? And I told her, and it was validated, and it was awesome. And then they let go, and then I was completely fine. But it's more fewer than far between, or fewer and farther between. It doesn't happen all the time, but it definitely does happen where I'm like, all right, okay, I'll get the message across, or I'll do my best to get the message.
Yeah, they're pretty insistent when they want to be.
For sure.
Yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah, I've heard of them being very insistent when it's something super important that they really feel like they have to tell. So I wondered how often that happened, and if it doesn't really happen that often, I mean, I guess that's cool. But when it does, if you don't tell them, it's a bane of your existence, I imagine.
It really is, because then it's just like, you didn't tell them. Why didn't you tell them? Contact them, get a hold of them. Like they're like, it's almost like it's in my chest, and they're like, they're just pulling at me, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
all right. It's a little kid tugging on your shirt, like, hey, and it's like, okay, all right, I get it. I'll pass the message.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so
It just
sometimes
it cracks me up that they can be that annoying. It's like, you're dead. Why are you bothering me?
And it's like, why aren't you tugging them on the shoulder or tapping them on the shoulder and be
go bother them? It's for them you need to talk to.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, people so often, I get this so many times. People like, I'll give them a piece of information, they validate it, and they say like, I thought I was just losing my mind. I thought I was just going crazy. And
so they were being bothered.
So they were, yeah. And they're like, I thought that was just something I was making up, or like that, like I thought it was my imagination or something. And I'm like, no, like your spirit loved ones are trying to get a hold of you, and by hearing it from an outside source, that it validates it for them as well.
Yes,
because a lot of this, like, yeah, sure, like it's amazing as a medium to get validation for the things I'm coming up with and on things I'm saying, but ultimately it has nothing to do with me. It's all about the person I'm sitting across from and their loved one. I'm just a telephone. That's it.
Yep.
I'm just a means of communication,
I remember I had one day, I can remember the date exactly, October 28th.
Yep.
I smelled my dad all day. My dad has been dead since I was like 14.
Mm-hmm.
I smelled him all day. I have no idea why. Nothing major was happening.
Yep.
It was his day. Maybe the veil was thin enough that he could come through. It was his day where he was like, I'm by you all day today. And I thought maybe maybe it was the cologne of my father-in-law's cologne. I left work. It was in my car. I left my car. It was in work. I left work and went on a run, and it was in the van with me. I was like, I can't get away from it. So I know, especially when it was a mix of cigar smoke and his cologne and a little bit of alcoholism.
Yep.
And I was like, it has a very distinct smell. You can't mistake it. And I know he was with me all day that day, and nothing major happened.
Yeah.
So why do they do stuff like that? Do you know why they do stuff like that? I should say. Do you know why they just sometimes come through and just sit with you all day?
They miss you. It sounds.
That's funny because I didn't even like him.
Well, he probably liked you, and he probably.
Well, I mean, I hope so. He was my dad, but
I would hope so. Yeah. Well, it's like they miss you. They want to be around you, just as you miss them. It's like, just because nothing major or important was going on in your life, particularly at that moment, it doesn't mean they didn't want to just let you know, like, hey, I'm around you. I love you. Like, I want you to know that you're protected by me. And that everything's going to be okay, going forward or anything like that. I think that's the message that they want to get across. And like, hey, I might have gone in a physical sense, but I'm still very spiritually around you.
See, and one thing that I felt was that it was kind of a sorrowful. He was sorry because he was an alcoholic. He drank himself to death, and I wasn't even upset because my thought process when I was young was, you left my mom and you didn't take care of us.
Right.
To me, he was a piece of crap. And I think that might have been why, because I had one other person, one woman, only woman I ever had tell me, only medium that I ever had talked to me about my father.
Mhm.
And she had told me it was like a year or two before, "Your dad's really sorry."
Yeah.
She just flat out said it. And, getting that, I was like, "Okay." So I think over the last couple of years, I've worked on forgiving him and
Okay.
stuff like that. And then he just stuck with me that one day all day, and it felt like he was just incessantly reminding me that he was sorry, he was sorry, he was sorry. And I was like, I even said it out loud in the car a couple of times because I know what it is. I knew it was him hanging around.
Yep.
I was like, "Okay, Dad, I know, I get it. You're sorry.
Yeah.
I understand. I understand it was something that you really didn't have total control over. I
Mhm.
understand that you let something take you away. I understand that you're upset that you allowed it to happen and you're sorry." But then I'm sitting there thinking, am I just saying this because this is what I'm hoping he would say? And
No.
this is what I'm hoping he would feel? Because that's where my self doubt comes in.
Yep.
So,
I would
so
say your words did not fall on deaf ears, you know?
yeah, yeah. And I don't think they did.
And
I
sorry.
think he really did. He really did pay attention, and it was kind of like I've been wondering, and I've been wanting to ask someone, why that one day, why
Yeah.
that one day.
Yep.
But you answered it.
That's awesome. That's good. This it's funny because like you had said, do people bombard you sometimes? And I have to admit there is a crew around you. um, Now I don't know how far you want me to go into that, but like there you do have people that watch out for you. Your dad being one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I believe if I'm correct, it's my
well, don't tell me
Nona.
in case. Did
Okay,
your Nona, so your grandmother, right?
my great grandmother.
Great grandmother. Do you see like the birds around her? Like cardinals more specifically?
Um, yeah, we have one that chick that hangs out in the backyard.
And did she drink coffee a lot? Was she a big coffee drinker?
I don't know.
You
I
don't know? Okay.
assume because she died either right after or right before I was born.
Okay. All right.
She had she was sick, but she
That's
passed
kind of the
away.
feeling I got around her is that she loved to drink coffee and that she was kind of like a very positive influence around everybody.
That'd be nice, especially since she's straight from Sicily.
Yeah. Yeah. That would make sense as to why I see like a lot of parties around her and like cooking and,
Ah,
you know,
the food. Mm,
the food, such glorious food, getting
yes.
people to eat things that they wouldn't
That's why
normally
we're
eat,
that's why we're all fat.
My wife's Italian. Her whole family cooks and it's amazing. Like her grandmother,
Yes.
especially, is like this like phenomenal cook.
Yeah,
So,
we do not know. We do not know when to say when. We create for armies.
yes, yes,
We we cook for armies. But hey, you're gonna stay on. We're gonna have a discussion after, but our time is actually it's been an hour.
holy cow!
So,
Wow, that's
I know,
nuts.
right? So I'm definitely gonna have you back on. It's so easy to talk to you. Feels like I'm talking to an old friend. So
Nice.
I am super excited. Don't forget his book. Remind us where we can get your book and the title again.
Yep. So it's called I Fucking Knew It. You can get it right on Amazon, and you can get it in paperback, hardcover, or Kindle. I'm actually working on a second book right now. It's going to be called The Untrained Medium, all about mental health and mediumship and how it kind of coincides. So stay tuned for that as well.
And we will have him back on for that too. So we're getting ready to revamp everything, guys. So we're gonna have a whole new name, we're gonna have a whole new setup, and we're gonna end up eventually doing a live once a month to start out. And we'd love to have you. We would love to have you, Chris.
That would be
So
it would be my honor, truly.
I really appreciate everything you've done. Stay on. We're gonna take off, but I'm gonna close this out. But me and you are gonna talk. Thank you for being here, everybody, at the Book Asylum. We really appreciate you checking us out today. You guys have a fantastic day and keep watching. Follow us on YouTube.